Welcome back, folks. Short video on the dollar index, which does control the market. It's a great way to gauge where we feel the market might be going. Okay, the dollar index is something where if the dollar index is rising, then foreign currency pairs and indices are typically declining. Okay, so everything kind of prices inverse to the dollar index. So let's quickly walk through what we have seen in the dollar index over the last couple of weeks and to kind of gauge where we are now and where we might be going. So this is a good video for those who haven't understood high time frame analysis and how you can look at what the market has done to gauge where the market might be going. Okay, so here we can see the dollar index has come into a gap, okay, on this way down. That's acted as support, okay, and then from there we have started to move up, okay, and on this move up we are creating these down candles, okay. Well, on this move down, I should say, we've created these down candles, which is the order block. So on the way up we will come into a level of resistance, which is this gap here. So we're going to balance this gap. This is a weekly chart, okay? And then we start to move down and we complete a balancing of a very tiny gap that's in here, okay? But we also return to this gap, okay? So these gaps act as support and resistance, and we can cut through these candles, okay? Just because a gap has been balanced in the past doesn't mean it won't act as support in the future. But on this move down, okay, after balancing this gap on the left with this move up, okay, on this move down, which is expected because we've tapped into a resistance, the support is a tiny gap in here and a reclaiming of the previous gap, okay? Now, when you come down here in this week, this is a great opportunity. Obviously, this is all in hindsight, but this is how we learn. When we are down here, we can see these highs, okay? So the market has engineered liquidity, okay? We haven't made a lower low. This gap still remains open, okay? So the market could have continued to go lower, but it hasn't, okay? Which indicates strength in the fact that we closed above this gap and then started to move higher the following week. That means this liquidity here is the next draw on liquidity, okay? And that's where we have this move going up, as you can see, straight above that high, okay? Leaving this gap, right? And this gap currently has been left open, meaning that we are at significant strength in the dollar index. So this move down, okay, after taking out this high is important as well, because now we are coming into these order blocks, right? These last down two candles, okay? So that move down has come into these order blocks, and then the draw on liquidity will obviously be these equal highs straight above that were created, but also these equal highs on the left, which is where we have recently tapped into, okay? And then since then, we've created liquidity above here. So we've got a triple top or equal highs there, and we also have these relative equal highs the market has yet to tap into. So we've moved down into this order block, okay? Now this is important. I want you to look at the structure of this candle and the structure of this candle, okay? What I've noticed is when you have this type of an order block, which has a large wick, the market will come in here and have a reaction, but ultimately you want to target the opening of those order blocks, and that's what we get on this candle here, okay? So we are still tapping into this order block, okay? That's what we've done 2 weeks ago. We've still got this gap open, that's signifying strength, okay? Last week, after tapping in to this order block, the prior week, we've had a nice bullish week, and that's coming to this high. So I am expecting a retracement, okay? And my personal opinion is that while this is an order block, I don't think a pullback will just stop there to go higher. I think that we will come into the high of this, have a reaction, but then I think ultimately we'll get down to the open of this, just like this candle here. Okay, we had a reaction at the high, but then ultimately went down to the open of the order block and essentially tapping into these order blocks here. Okay, so I think that we are either going to find a move up from this level, which is around 104.75, okay, or we could in fact come back down into this order block below, that's around 104.25, okay, and that's a deeper run into this weekly low here, okay. So we need to monitor the price. I'm not interested to go long the dollar index from that level. I am only interested to go long the dollar index at the open of this order block, but I want to see what's price doing when we get there, what day that is, what session that is, okay. Now remember, we are not trading the dollar index. The dollar index is a gauge for us. So if we are going to long the dollar index, it means we're going to short the euro or short some other foreign currency, or maybe even the indices if they are set up for a short, okay. I do think that ultimately we do have lower prices coming on the euro until we get to this level and maybe even up to there. So that means all-time lows on the euro, but we need to kind of work out where do we short euro from, and I won't be looking for those shorts on euro until we get to this order block here. And again, we need to assess price. So that means I'm bearish on dollar index as a pullback before we go higher, which means for euro, I am expecting higher prices into next week before we get lower prices. Obviously, I could be wrong. This could have strength and continue going higher without to tap out these highs without giving us any pullback prior to going up. So that's something we need to consider as well. But the market typically does look for inefficiencies or liquidity in the opposing end once a high has been taken. So based on that, I am expecting a pullback maybe to there, or a better one will be to there, okay? And even better will be back up to these order block, or even to that order block down there. Again, it's all about monitoring price, okay? These are just ideas, and then we need to monitor price to see how is price behaving at those levels, what is the day of the week, what is the session that it's behaving in, okay? Let's take a daily look at a daily chart. So again, we are bullish. Now, one thing we do have on the daily chart that we don't have on the weekly is we do have a changing structure, okay? So we have this low, we have this high, and then we have a lower low, okay, which is lower than this, okay? After this lower low has been established, we have a higher high, okay, even here the higher high. That means that this area should act as support, okay? Now, after getting this higher high, we did have a deep pullback, but we still remain within the structure, okay? This up candle, this bullish up candle is part of this swing high, and this bodies of this down move remained within that up candle. And that basic structure is still in place. This wick was simply a stop hunt and to get more orders. So from a daily chart, we are bullish, and we are structures now changed from bearish to bullish. So low, higher high, lower low, and higher high means that this area will now act as support, and that's kind of where we've tapped into on yesterday. Well, that's Friday's trading. Okay, as I said on the higher time frame, we have taken out some highs, and so I'm expecting a pullback, and we need to gauge where that pullback is coming into. Now, this is a very shallow run, so I do want to see a pullback, because any pullback, even if it's just down to the support level, is a good opportunity to long dollar index for a deeper run to perhaps this high. Okay, but as I said on the weekly chart, I want to see move back down to 104.75, which is somewhere around here. Okay, so back into this order block perhaps. That'll also have a stop run on Thursday's lows. Okay, and I did indicate on Thursday, if I go to a 15-minute chart, let's see, where is Thursday? Let's see if I can find this. Not on DXY, on Euro. So let me recap quickly what I'm trying to show you. Okay, let's go back to a daily chart. What I'm indicating here, based on my weekly assessment, I want dollar index to come down to 104.75. Okay, so back into, on the daily, that'll be one of these order blocks here. Okay, what that means is that we would be below on the dollar index, below Thursday's low. For Euro, that would mean Thursday's high. Okay, on my Twitter, I have posted the interest in Thursday's high. Let me find that post where we have a triple high. That's the Euro. So there, that post there. Okay, so if what I'm saying about the dollar index is correct, that we do get a pullback on the dollar index to 104.75. Okay, where is it? 104. Yeah, somewhere around here. If that's true, we do get a pullback in DXY, then that means we are back below Thursday's low on the dollar index, which would mean on the Euro, as per my Twitter post, we are above Thursday's highs, where I have identified some equal highs. So that's yet to be seen. We've gone a lot lower than when I posted this chart, okay, but I still see those Thursday highs on Euro important, and that may be why we need a pullback on the dollar index. And where did I get that pullback from? Well, as I said on the weekly chart, I am looking at a pullback in dollar index back to the open of this order block, which is at 104.75, because I don't feel the high here of this order block is sufficient, nor do I feel the open of that is sufficient. Therefore, the only logical level in my view is to that level. That also allows the market to come into this wick, which it needs to do. And if we actually draw a 50% of that wick, which one is that? Let me see. It is coming in at 104.60, right? So again, in the body of that order block, or at the open of that order block, I've got another line here, which is from some other analysis, so maybe that's correct. 104.79, which is right at the open. So we can ignore this one and go with this one. And I might have done that on a monthly. Let's have a look. Where did that coming from? Not sure where I've got that line from. I'll have to look at that later. But nevertheless, on a weekly chart, I do want to see a deeper pullback into the open of this particular order block. Let's also have a look at where, if we just take the wick of this, maybe that's what I've done. So the midpoint of that wick is at 105 basically, but I think we need to get to the open of that order block. So that's where the 104.75 level is coming from when I'm analyzing this on a daily chart. Okay, that comes in at under Thursday's low on the DXY. That allows for a entry into this order block. Okay, and then that also means Thursday's high on Euro as liquidity can be taken, and as I've shown that on the Euro we have those equal highs. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for on dollar index. I think after that we are then looking for bullish momentum based on what we see here on the weekly chart. Okay, so recap, looking for a retracement pullback on DXY down to 104.75, which is the open of that order block, and then higher prices. This equal highs would then be in play. Okay, hopefully they stay like that before we get down there, so we can target that move up to those equal highs, and then maybe even all the way up to there. I do have a target on dollar index that I've calculated previously at 106. Let me see what that was, 106.28. Okay, so we are therefore headed up into this wick, and ultimately probably this level here that I've already calculated, which is 106.60, and that is just below these equal highs. So I think what I'm expecting is higher prices on dollar index, lower prices on euro. I'd like to see the euro Thursday highs to be taken out for a nice expectation for lower lows therefore on euro after we take out Thursday highs. That may not occur. That's okay. I'll need to look for other entries based on my bias that the dollar index is going higher. I think that based on the analysis on the dollar index getting all the way up to 106.60 maybe even higher, I think then my bias on euro is going to be to look for short. So I'll be looking to short any rally. I really want euro to get up to that Thursday high. I think from there, there'll be nice expectations for lower prices. So study the charts, okay? Monitor, so your lesson here is to monitor dollar index. What is dollar index doing over the next couple of days? Are we going to get a pullback? I want you to look at a couple of things, okay, for your study. Number one, do we even get a pullback or do we just go straight up? Highly unlikely, but certainly possible, okay? Number two, where do we pull back into? If we pull back into here, I want you to really monitor what happens. You might get a reaction when you get down to the high of that. You might get a reaction, but I think that'll be very small lived, and that'll just be a false move to go lower into this open. Okay, so monitor how the market behaves, dollar index and euro, when you get to this level, and then does it go back down to this level? Okay, and that'll be a trade. That means that the market traded back down into this wick, which is expected. I want to see that. That's normal behavior. Okay, then what does DXY do and euro once we get to this level on DXY? Do we have a strong push up to take out these highs? That's my expectation. What day do we get this move down? If we get this move down to that order block, what day is that? What session is that? Okay, what time is that? Have a look if that's a Tuesday. Have a look if that's a London session. Have a look at the time. Is that a 2 a.m. or a 3:30 a.m.? Okay, so we're getting into a bit more details now on entries. Okay, and then when do we get the reversal, right? Do we get a reversal in New York for the move up? So on that Tuesday, do we go down and Tuesday 2 a.m. New York time or Tuesday 3:30 a.m. New York time, are we down here? Okay, and then what happens there? Does New York 9:30 a.m. reverse and start to move higher? Okay, so do we, for the first half of the week on dollar index, have this pullback, which would be the false move up to the middle of the week, Monday, Tuesday, maybe even into Wednesday? When do we get that reversal? Do we get it Tuesday? Do we get Wednesday and Thursday, Friday we go up? That's what I want you to look at. Okay, monitor that. So whatever is happening here on dollar index, the reverse is happening on the euro. So if we're looking at the euro, then if we're expecting dollar index to come down first half of the week, then euro we're expecting the market to go up. Okay, so what's euro been doing? Right, it's coming down into these levels, and we want to now see if we're expecting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday dollar index to come down, euro should be going up. Okay, so is it going up just to balance this gap on the daily chart that we have? Okay, this is weekly, sorry. Is it going up to balance this level on the weekly, which is at close to 10.08, right? If we're expecting dollar index to come down for the next 3 days, the euro should be going up for the next 3 days. Okay, let's look at a euro daily chart. Okay, so where have we come into? Okay, so there's probably some levels. We do have this order block on the left, okay, that the euro has now come into, okay, and we have this liquidity, okay, at 108.50. Let's see where is the equal highs. Might be on the 15-hour chart. Let's find them if we can. Okay, so it's right there, okay. What level is that? That's just above 108. So there's our equal high. That is the high of Thursday. Let's just double check. What day is that? Yes, that's Thursday. So if we're expecting, so you can see that the euro has taken a lot of liquidity on this way down. Okay, so if we're expecting dollar index to go down from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then euro should be going up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We could just come into this area here, perhaps, okay, which is just below 108. I really want to see we go up to there, and then, you know, the high on Tuesday, Wednesday we reverse. And all of that depends on what's going on with the dollar index. You kind of need to look at both charts, okay? So on dollar index, we want to see, I noticed that there's a pretty big gap here, okay? This is a 1 hour chart. So this level here, keep an eye on that, okay? That's at 104.60, which is exactly where we want the dollar index to go. So I'll be looking at this. This is equal lows here, just before this gap. And notice this wick here, okay? These are important. So I'm going to put a line here on my chart, right there. That's where I expect DXY to get down to, okay? And this level here is important as well. I'm going to put a line here as well, okay? Now that is within, just below that 104.75, okay? So now if we look at the daily chart on the, you can see those lines are exactly where I want quite busy this chart, but just focus on those maroon lines, okay? That's where I'm saying the DXY I want it to come into, which is that order block. So I've kind of aligned a number of things to match up with where I think the market's going. That is on Thursday's low, okay? So notice how the market has left that massive wick on Thursday's low, okay, on the DXY, right? That is the equivalent of, on the euro, Thursday's high, okay? So it's not by coincidence that we see those highs on the euro on a Thursday. So where is that? That's up here. Okay, so that's that same wick that I have previously marked. There, maybe get the line. There we go. Okay, so that's the same chart I've reconstructed for you. The highs were up here. Let's actually see if we can calibrate that to that high there. Okay, I think it's that one there. There we go. So I've reconstructed that chart. You can see from when I posted the Twitter, we've gone much lower, but I still think that's where we are headed in the interim. Right? I believe that liquidity needs to be taken from that level on euro before the market goes down to reach for lower lows on euro, meaning higher highs on the dollar index. Okay, I know it might be a little bit confusing when I'm talking about how the dollar index and euro trade inversely, and it might be a little bit confusing saying that if I'm looking for lower prices on dollar index, then I'm looking for higher prices on euro. But just go back and rewind the video and you should be able to understand it. Okay, so we monitor the markets now, as I said, monitor the specific prices points I've mentioned on DXY and the euro, the days that it gets down to those levels, the time, the session, right? That's for your learning. And when we get that reversal, if we get that reversal, right, is the market going to do exactly what I've said? No, this is my assessment of what I believe the market's going to do. Okay, so always be prepared to be wrong. The market is showing strength. I'm talking about DXY. This could continue going up all the way to take out all the lows of DXY, of euro. Okay, so you need to monitor price and act accordingly. And this is all for your study. Okay, so it's for you to study how price behaves at the levels I've mentioned on dollar index and on the euro. Okay, at the times I've mentioned, at the price points I've mentioned, at the days I've mentioned, for you to learn how price action moves. Okay, I will talk with you in a future video.